Hi, and welcome to my capstone project Dreamescape. I've been working on this game as a designer for almost 8 months now, and in the past 8 months it has gone through a lot of iterations and changes, and I will tell you exactly what those changes have been, or at least try to explain why I took certain design decisions as I did. So without any further ado, let me take you to the gameplay, and so that I can show you the mechanics and the core gameplay. So these, as you can see, this menu, this kind of represents the vertical slice style that we are going with. So each of these icons is going to be one level. Currently we just have the first level, that is a pirate ship working, but for our vertical slices we have planned for Atlantis, ancient Egypt, the Roman civilization, and the Mayan jungle. So let me just take you through the gameplay. Well, I'm just gonna skip through the dialogue and into the gameplay. Now let me just explain how the core mechanics work. So you simply click on a character and the possible movable tiles are highlighted, as you can see, and you just click on a tile to move him. But you also gotta keep an eye out for the energy right over here in the HUD. So because as it reaches 0, you won't be able to select a character or do any or perform any interactions, but to click the end turn button so that the enemies can take turn. This is the basic gameplay that we went with because it's a tactical grid-based game. However, one interesting mechanic that I thought would be great, since we were making this game for kids, would be to show teamwork. And what better way to show teamwork than to use all the available characters to defeat enemies, solve puzzles, and interact with the other environmental objects. So as you can see, the moment I surrounded this generator, this is generator by the way, the moment we surrounded the generator with the 3 characters, it got activated. So as you can see, there's this another generator over here which has a number 3. So the number 3 simply represents how many people you need to surround it with so that it activates. I went with this kind of a tactic because it best shows the teamwork that the characters are having amongst themselves in solving these issues in the environment. And this teamwork would also be evident when they are defeating enemies. So I'll just explain you how it works in a bit after the enemies take their turn. The main goal for this level for now is to defeat this pirate captain right over here, as you can see, who has been inspired from the likes of Blackbeard. So as you can see, we have this pirate here now. So what I'm gonna do is surround him with my 3 characters that are Meta, Kent, and Jade. Now, before I move Kent over to this square, I would just like to show you the starting health and the attack that each pirate has. So this is the health of the pirate, and this is how much damage he does every time he attacks a character. So now when I move Kent over here, you can see he just got weakened. So he lost 4 health and 1 attack. So this was basically a metaphor to what you would end up doing to a bully. This was kind of my way of tackling with a bully in real life, so that bullies tend to be intimidating, but I kind of went with the tactic of, when you're in a group, so you help your friends out, and it's kind of, I try to go with the notion that united we stand. So this is what it means, that when you're united and in a team and you're surrounding the enemy gets intimidated by you, and that kind of weakens them, and it's much easier to defeat them. So I would just go on and select Meta to attack the pirate, and poof, he's gone. So all the pirates currently have the same health and damage, with the exception of the pirate captain, who has double the health and plus 1 damage, which is 3. So since he's the main big baddie of for this level, he had to be made a little strong. So this currently is the basic gameplay. So you can like surround the next generator to gain 2 extra energy next turn onwards, or you can keep using the characters to place them near these cannons, which I'll also show you how they operate. And although these cannons are one-time use only, they cause a serious amount of damage, which I think they cause 6 damage. So safe to say that it's a one-hit kill for each of the pirate crew, and the cannon seriously cripples the pirate captain by reducing his health in half. I know it might not sound like, from the point of view of balancing, it's kind of not exactly, I mean, it's almost balanced but not exactly there. I kind of wanted to give the players an easy way to get hold of the mechanics before throwing them into the core, into full-on hardcore gameplay. And being the vertical slice that it is, this is not going to be the only thing that there's in the level. So I'm currently coming up with a plan to implement a phase 2 in the pirate ship level, wherein after defeating the pirate captain, a bigger ship comes in the background, and then the whole game camera shifts to that ship, and there will be a new pirate captain, and we would introduce a new kind of an enemy pirate with different abilities. So that would basically be for the players to, you know, use all you've learned in the previous level to apply it in this level, in this phase, and win it. Also, there are these different abilities that each player has had, because I thought that since we're going with the traditional RPG style of gameplay, why not give them cool abilities? And being for kids, and we kind of thought that, you know, giving them abilities pertaining to the type of class they belong to would be really cool. So since Jade is supposed to be sporty, we gave her the ability to sprint. So what she does is that she can sprint to any of the yellow highlighted tiles that you can see, and once she does that, she gains twice the attack. So she has, instead of 2, 4 attack. So if any pirate enemy is in the vicinity, they're in for a bad time. So that's the whole aspect. Also, these other characters have different abilities, like Kent has cleave, so he cleaves all enemies in a particular range. Hallie, she bolsters all the teammates in a particular range. Ed, so Ed's ability is really interesting in the way that he kind of does a supporting ability. So this is what it does. It's a paralyzing potion, and as the name suggests, it stuns the enemies for 1 round. So that's really helpful when you're actually surrounded by enemies and you want to get back, or like just like surround them and defeat them with, prevent them from taking turns, so that, you know, the paralyzing potion is actually really helpful in those tight corners or situations when players find them and such. Meta's ability is a fireball, because she is the de facto wizard of the team. So she has a ranged ability which is really powerful. The fireball causes 6 damage, but this is, again, it seems too overpowered from the balance perspective, so this is gonna change. The ability fireball is gonna cause less damage, but what it's gonna do is cause more of a damage over time, a DOT effect, so that the enemy catches on fire and takes the damage for 1 round or 2 rounds. So I'm still trying to, you know, calculate and figure the balance stuff out, but in future iterations, that thing would be done and figured out. So yeah, so I just wanted to show you how the cannons operate. So when a player is in any of these tiles around the cannon, they can use it, and the cannon does not require all of them. It can just be done by 1 player, 1 character. So this is the range of the cannon, and I should also mention that I initially worked on coding the range for the cannon, but then it was refined and polished by the lead developer and the UI developer. So this is what it looks like now. Although it's still in pre-alpha, so everything that you see right now is subject to change depending on what we decide to ultimately go with, or depending on the user feedback. So we are currently we are constantly gathering user feedback about these things, and what you see right now, it's all been because of the a huge amount of feedback that we have gathered from the numerous playtests that we have conducted. So the HUD that you see on the left wasn't always on here. It was initially right here on the bottom center with a separate energy button, like a round energy button, which was I mean, it didn't exactly hinder the player's view, but it kind of affected it kind of actually did hinder the players in the form that, you know, whenever the dialogue takes place, since the dialogue box you know, tends to overlap on the HUD, and it just looked bad from a design perspective. So that had to be changed. So we changed it to the top center, which again did not work out really well because the icons were really small and the names weren't visible, so the players weren't really exactly able to connect or just figure out which portrait is for which character. So we had to change the whole HUD, and now it's on the corner on the left side of the screen with the end turn button below it, and the portraits are much bigger. They have a clearly defined health bars and the ability bars, so it kind of is a very clean interface that we're trying to go for, and I kind of suggested we go for this translucent background in the HUD to kind of give it, like, to make it kind of feel like it's a part of the screen and it's not a separate entity in itself. So this kind of, like, you know, you're able to see behind the HUD. I think this helps a lot to give them the whole perspective of the game, that, you know, it doesn't take away the whole, it does not consume a part or a chunk of the screen that the players aren't able to see. So even through the HUD they can see the background of the ship, which I think helps them to get a whole perspective. So for this HUD, the UI designer and I have been constantly in touch, and he gave me a couple of ideas and designs, and I kind of, you know, I said that, I told him that, hey, you know, I kind of wanted to look like this, and he made it happen. So this has been in collaboration. The ship itself was made by a 3D artist who was again in collaboration with me. I gave him the specifics of what I wanted, how many cannons, what specific entities I wanted on the ship. So the door, the generators, the cannons, the main mast and the mizzen mast, the plank, the parachute wheel. This was all an asset list that I created, and he kind of went ahead and made it all possible. So we are still, he's still working on creating the 3D model for the generator, and the enemy spawn locations in our new ship would be the door on the right, and there would be a trap door on the bottom here, right about here, from which the enemy spawn. They haven't spawned yet, but they would spawn in the next turn because it's going to be the third turn. So I'm just going to end turn to see if they spawn. I think this is the second turn that they're taking. We are currently, we constantly, yeah, so these enemies spawn out of thin air, which is not going to be the case. They're going to spawn either from the door on the right or from trapdoor on the left here. So I'm just going to show you how the cannon works. So this is the range. These two enemies are currently in the range, even the pirate captain. I'm going to target the pirate captain because that's the more valuable option, because he has 12 health, so it kind of reduces his to half. So his health is now half of what it was. It's 6, and now it's much easier to defeat him. So I'm just gonna put Halley here, sorry, Meta here, and I'm gonna use the fireball, and boom goes the captain. So that was the game. We are still going, as I mentioned, it's still pre-alpha, and we are still going through development and design changes as we conduct more and more playtests with our primary audience, that is kids. And my job is to kind of keep the flow of, keep the game going, and keep everything consistent with the core mechanics of the gameplay, and make sure that everything just fits into the theme of the game, and all aspects of the game are balanced out. I know that some abilities and some enemies might seem overpowered right now, but that's just because we are still in we are still in the very we were building the game for a particular conference. which is a game developers conference, and so we did not want to make any huge changes to the game. But now is when we actually start refactoring things and remaking decisions that I made prior for the game to change. So that's all gonna change, and I hope to deliver a fully realized and a fully polished level, pirate ship level of the game by the end of the semester. That's our goal. So that's what we are working towards. And I'll be coming up with the newest iteration soon, as and when we have it. So till then, I hope you liked it, and thank you for watching.